This is part 3 of the Great Conjunction series. So, in the previous segment, we have introduced the main characters who are now connected to the Illuminati, at least in the mind of most people. We barely spoke about Mendes de Pasquale. He's important because his ideas were transmitted to Louis-Claude de Saint-Martin, who then created the Martinist order. And the Martinist order played an important role in the anchoring of the dark Illuminati for Earth. Mendes de Pasquale was a Freemason, and he is known for having created the order of the Élu Cohen. In English, it can be translated as the elect Cohen or priests of the universe, nothing less. We also have Papus or Gérard d'Ancos. Papus was also instrumental in the revival of the last Martinist order as we know it now. So, the most important part, although these occult groups exerted a tremendous social and financial power, they could only do so because everything is pre-organized through the matrix. And because in our matrix, the lining of our society, what is happening behind the veil, is more important than what is happening in plain view, well, physical view, 3D, ordinary view. When Jupiter and Saturn meet, they are actually also changing the lining. The divine plan is slowly molded in the physical reality. Jupiter and Saturn go around the zodiac. They are exploring the many combinations of energy going from one sign to the other. And then the two aspects of the deity evolve together and bring together a system that functions at a higher level of energy. So the message and the behavior of the mystery schools is only a reflection of the challenging communication between heaven and earth. Of course, to that, we have to add the stubborn human ego and the need of men to linger in the experience of power and sex. So in this presentation, we will explain how I see the Baphomet, what it is in reality, and how the creation and then the slow removal of the egregore Baphomet allowed the change of the system that we see now. The Illuminati, the darkness, took over, of course, the social system, the political, and the financial system. But through wars and organized religions, the occult also took over the vortices, and therefore the most important places from which man can communicate with the divine. Interestingly, in the mysteries, well, it is said that Saturn and Jupiter preside the mysteries. The mysteries refer to the rituals that are at the core of the occult and also at the core of the worship. But this is another story. Saturn and Jupiter are called the Great Chronocrators. means the lords of time, because they anchor one step at a time the wheel of evolution on this planet. They rule actually what we would call the timing. And without the right timing, nothing can change. So the word Baphomet is mostly associated with this figure that appeared in Magic and Dogma, a book written by Eliphas Levi. Eliphas Levi was an interesting character, born Christian, priest, who ended up as an occultist, magician, socialist, and fighter against the Roman Catholic Church. If we pay attention to this picture, what we see is all evidence of duality, one hand up, one hand down. Solve coagula, okay, referring to alchemy. What is alchemy? The wings and the human body, human and animal, an animal face. Everything is about duality. Yet what we notice is that the 5-pointed star on the face of the goat is pointed up. This is actually different from that one that we find in the Key of Black Magic from Stanislas de Guetta. This one is also a goat, but it's pointed down, and it's connected to two entities that work with black magic, Samael and Lilith. They are invoked by black magicians. You see the difference? Now, the picture given by Eliphas Levi was probably not from him. Plagiarism, we found it, and it was revealed to the public with a lot of noise. This is a scroll that was discovered after being stolen in Turkey. Interestingly, we have different symbols that people are calling Satanists, but not necessarily. The peacock is surely not a Satanist symbol. It refers to the Messiah and the rejuvenation and the resurrection, the transmutation of life through ongoing death and life, the capacity to come out of its own ashes. Then we have what? The 6-pointed star, okay? It also represents what is called the Christ consciousness. The lion, probably referring to the Lion of Judah. The owl is both wisdom and black magic. And then on the right, we have the Capricorn, the goat fish. So these are very ancient symbols, and we have to understand them a little better. Another representation of what is now called, not even the Baphomet, the devil that we find in the tarots. On this tarot card, you see the same signs of duality, the wings on a man, the antlers, the two sexes combined, men and women attached by a rope. It's pretty gruesome. So is the Baphomet the devil? Actually, the term Baphomet is found utilized in the 11th century by the troubadours, but also here we find it in a letter written by Anselme de Ribemont. Ribemont was a crusader, and he is famous for his letters describing the war. when he's speaking about the siege of Antioch, the first crusade, he says that the enemy called loudly upon Baphomet. So did he really hear Baphomet? Was it Mohammed? Or did he use the word Baphomet because it was already in his vocabulary? Actually, the troubadours at the same epoch were using and knew about the Baphomet and Mohammed both, because they were living in Occitania, that is on the border of Spain, and Spain was conquered by the Muslims. So there was a mix and a merging in the language as well as in the culture. So what is the Baphomet? Well, we know that during the trials that the Templars went through, they were asked repeatedly about a head or an idol that they were supposed to be known to worship. And we have here one testimony about during the trial, where the man says that it was shown to him, the head was shown to him in Montpellier by Brother Mendes. And this head remained in the possession of Brother Peter. So what were they speaking about? The consensus about the Knight Templars is that they were initiates, they practiced the occult, and they have adored the Sabbatic goat, so the goat of Mendes. What are we speaking about? Just a note about Islam. It is strange that the Baphomet would be Mohammed, because the Islam forbids idols as well as images of the Prophet. So, where are the horns and what is the goat about? Where are the horns coming from? Here, a representation of Moses. Moses coming down from the mountain, he is illuminated, he brings the 10 Commandments, and he's represented with horns. Why? Because he communicates with the divine. As for the goat itself, it is a symbol that appears very far. Here, we have the origin of the goat of Mendes. In Egypt, the deity Banebdjedet was a ram with the horns down like that, horizontal. He's represented eventually with the lyre on his head, and his consort, who is a female deity associated with Isis later, is a fish. So goat, fish. Goat and rams still present in Karnak, especially during the era of the Ram, Karnak temple. The horns, we find them back on this character, Pan. Pan has also animals. The bottom of his body is an animal, the top is human. He's not a centaur. He's associated with sex, low energies, low chakras, the wildness, the mountains. In the Celtic tradition, we have another god with antlers, also looks pretty animal, Cernunnos. This deity is also surrounded by animals, reptiles, and closer to us, the reference to a goat is found in the story of Jupiter and Almatea. Almatea, the goat, was actually Jupiter's nurse. So Jupiter being nursed by the goat Almatea. Uh-oh. So yes, now it moved. So the Capricorn, according to the myth, is actually Almatea, who was placed by Zeus in the sky. So we find here the goat and the fish. Interestingly, it is said that the Capricorn or sea goat ruled by Saturn is the sabbatical goat. This is a quote from Dragon Legacy, page 217. So what exactly is the Capricorn? If we pay attention to astrology, the Capricorn, the goat fish, rules power, economy, hierarchies, distribution, and circulation of money. Well, in fact, the material structures of the system that we are living in. Well, the Capricorn connected to the old Egyptian god, connected to the fish, connected to Enki, the Sumerian god, who dwells in the Apsu or primeval ocean, the sea of creative semen. All this is connecting us with the structure of the system. So before the Great Conjunction, we had a standing of the three heavy-duty planets in Capricorn for almost 2 years, and Pluto is still in Capricorn, Pluto being the agent of transmutation. So to prepare the Great Conjunction Saturn-Jupiter, we had first the Pluto-Saturn conjunction in January 2020. So what does it mean? It means that the structures of the world were being worked on, transformed. The last time it happened, a Pluto-Saturn conjunction in Capricorn, was actually in the 16th century, at the beginning of 16th century. What happened at this time is that Protestantism was created and the conquistadors landed in Central America. So two enormous changes for the world. How is the Saturn-Pluto conjunction followed by a Jupiter-Saturn conjunction? How is this going to change our world? Saturn entered the sign of Capricorn in 2017. Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. As for Pluto, it is still in the Capricorn and will stay there until 2024. So we're not finished yet with the changes. Interestingly, we need to go on that page. In the Cancer, so the Cancer is here. At 14 degrees, we have Sirius. And on the other side, in the Capricorn, where is the Capricorn? Okay, so Cancer is here, sorry. Sirius is actually on this map. Sirius is at 1422 of Cancer. And across from it, where the heavy-duty planets were all connected, we have Vega at 15 degrees. So the axis is also telling us that there is a transmutation and a change that is going on in terms of who is ruling the system in which mankind is evolving. The bigger change the most significant change that is happening now is a change in the hierarchy between Sirius and Vega. So all the ruling planets have been stationary in Capricorn under the energy and the frequency of Vega, which is Alpha Lyra. And this is the most significant change in our cosmic system and energy for the new era. Instead of being under the guardianship of the Syrians, mankind is now under the guardianship of the Lyrian. Then the Great Conjunction happened in 2020, December 2020. At this time, okay, Jupiter and Saturn are just entering the Aquarius. Yes, this is bringing new governments, new functioning, new structures, but also the obligation of the divine, represented by Jupiter, to submit to the rules of matter. But there is something much bigger than that. Actually, it is important to keep in mind that the first ruler of the Aquarius is still Saturn, and the esoterical ruler of the sign is Jupiter. So we are not just feeling the energy of the modern ruler, which is Uranus. We are also feeling what is going on the other side, a renewal of the functioning of the deity itself, the deity's functioning in the physical world. Another very significant point is that the Great Conjunction brought Saturn and Jupiter in a different element. We are, for the first time in 200 years, experiencing this conjunction in the air element. This didn't happen since the 12th century. What is Saturn? Saturn is the son of Uranus and Gaia. Saturn, or Kronos, ambushed Uranus, castrated him, becoming the new ruler. And then Kronos, in its turn, was deposed by his son, Jupiter. We have to pay attention to a detail here. Kronos, the original god, was later merged with Cronus, god of time. Cronus, the god of time, pre-existed before the creation of the cosmos. In the present story, Saturn is the old god, the Grim Reaper, and it is connected not only to the Capricorn or sea goat, but also to the dragon tail. Jupiter is the present king of the pantheon. He took over Saturn. Okay, let's end this segment here, and we will go into the mythology in the next segment. Thank you for listening.